Okay, this is lesson 5-6, divide decimals by whole numbers. And you'll have to bear with me because I'm trying some new software today to see if this works better for writing on the screen and such with the iPad than the other stuff did. So, off we go. So we're going to start by looking at a word problem and then we'll solve it together and talk about how we solved it. So our problem is that three friends set up a lemonade stand and made $20.25. They're going to share that money equally. So how much will each person get? So we know that we're going to be dividing the total amount of money, which is $20.25, by 3 people. This is the first time we have a dividend that is a decimal number. So we want to figure out how do we divide with a decimal. Okay, so we've got this $20.25 that we're going to divide by 3. We start out by solving it the same way we normally would. We look and see how many 3's go into 2, and the answer to that is none because 2 is less than 3. So instead we look at 20. And 3 goes into 20 6 times. Because if I had $20, if I took away the 25 cents, if I just had $20 and I was dividing that amongst the 3 people, they would each get $6, which would give us $18. And when we subtract that, we would find that we have $2 remaining. There seems to be a little bit of a delay. I wonder if it's coming through that way on your side or not. Let's keep going. So we've got $6. Now the next thing I'm going to do, I know that I divide and multiply, subtract, and the next thing I do is I bring down normally. In this case, I have this decimal, and I need to bring it up into my quotient. I don't know if you can tell, but the decimal goes straight up from where it is. So I'm almost going just like that, straight up, okay? Take that out of there because that's going to look confusing later. So I have these $6 and I've got $2 left. Well, my next step would be to bring down that 2. That 2 happens to be in the tenths place. So I'm bringing down 2 tenths. So I have $2.20 really. I could also look at that as 22 dimes. If I have 22 dimes, and I broke that evenly into 3 groups, I could put 7 in each group. Then after I subtract, I have 1 dime remaining. And I need to bring down my 5 pennies, or 5/100ths. So now I divide again. If I have 15 pennies divided into 3 groups, I can put 5 in each. That would be 15 pennies, and I would have a remainder of 0, which is hard to see, so I'll just stick it over there. Remainder 0. So let's talk about what did I do differently than I normally do when I divide. Well, it seems as though the first thing I did was the same thing I always do, which is I test my first 2 place values and see does it fit. I'm going to go on to another page and I'm going to write down the steps, and I want you to write them down too. I'm going to be switching back and forth between the 2 pages, so just be mindful of that. So the first thing I did was I divided the whole number. I'm trying this new software because it appears to write better, which should help you. Just a side note. So the first thing I did was I divided the whole number. If we go back and look, I figured out what I had with the whole number within my decimal. Okay, So I did that first. The next thing I did, if you remember, is I brought that decimal straight up. I put it straight up into the quotient. I definitely have better handwriting in this software than I did in the other software. And then after that, I went place value by place value, continuing to divide normally. So copy down that list. Side note, you can bring up that decimal straight away at the beginning. Meaning, if I had, oopsie, I could immediately put the decimal right up there and then work with the whole number. 6 goes into 20 3 times, and that's 18. And then I bring down, right? I could do it that way. It doesn't matter if you move the decimal first or you move it later. The most important thing is that it goes straight up. It needs to stay between your ones place and your tenths place, just like the decimal always has to be between your ones place and your tenths place. Okay? So make sure that you have this list, and pause, do that now, and then we will move on to some more practice problems that we can do together. Okay, so here we have 47 and 68 hundredths divided by 8. This time, I'm going to switch to a different color for my work so it's easier to see. I'm going to put my decimal straight up above, and I'm going to see how many 8s fit into 47. Since I know my 8s facts, I know that that's 5, because 5 times 8 is 40. I'll have 7 after I subtract, and I bring down my 6. 8 goes into 76 how many times? Well, 8 times is 64, 9 times is 72. I'll bring down my 8, and 8 goes into, 48 6 times. 6 times 8 is 48, so I have a remainder of 0. Let's see, did I follow my instructions? Well, I did step 2 first, where I moved that decimal straight up into my quotient. Then I divided the whole number, and then continued to use what's after the decimal the exact same way I would have in a problem that didn't have a decimal. I could always check it by multiplying. Remember, I would multiply my quotient times my divisor. And I check to make sure. Whoopsie, I made a mistake. This is a 6, not a 7. Because this is 72 plus 4, that's 6, not 7. My mistake. How about I go ahead and fix that? I know there's an eraser here somewhere. There we go. Okay. So if I added that, that would have been, excuse me. So my answer is 47 and 68 hundredths. And remember, that product has to match my initial dividend, which it does in this case. Okay, so let's move on and see what we've got next. Another practice problem. Perfect. I like to put my decimal up there straight away so I can't forget it's in the correct place value. And then I work with my whole number first. 9 goes into 58 6 times, and that is 54. I bring down that 6. 9 goes into 46 5 times, and that is 45. Bring down that 8, and 9 goes into 18 2 times, and that's 18. So I have a remainder of 0. I'm going to go ahead and check it really quickly by multiplying my, oh, what am I doing? Just getting ahead of myself. So excited that my handwriting is legible. Just writing more than I need to. So I'm going to multiply my quotient by my divisor. So 18, 45, 46, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58. So it's 2 place values out, so it has to go 2 place values in. So my answer is 58 and 68 hundredths, and that matches my initial dividend. So I know I've done it right. Now the same thing applies when I'm working with a 2-digit divisor. It didn't change. So I follow the same process I already know to follow. I bring up that decimal. Now I have to figure out how many times is 38 going to go into 161. I can think about 30 kind of like 40. It's pretty close. And I could think about this as 160. So I'm imagining 4 times, but I'm going to check it. 38 times 4 is 2. And this would be 7, 8, 9, 10. Is that accurate? Oh my goodness. No. Didn't even multiply correctly, Miss Shock. So this is 2. That's not 7, it's 12. I must have added 12, 13, 14, 15. So that's 152. That would definitely work. So remember, I'm putting that 4 above the 1 because I'm making that a 3-digit number. A 3-digit number. Okay, so that's 152. I'm going to go ahead and subtract. I know this will turn into a 5 and that an 11. And 11 minus 2 is 9. So now I'm going to bring down that 1. Okay, 38 is close to 40, so I'm going to say it's probably only 2. 16, 6, 7. Okay. Go ahead and subtract. So I have 15. I'm going to bring that 2 down. Oh, look! I already know that one. 4. With a remainder of 0. So again, I followed that same exact process. And in doing so, I found out that 161 and 12 hundredths divided by 38 is 4 and 24 hundredths. And I can check it by multiplying my quotient by my divisor, and I should get an answer of my dividend. Okay, so we're going to practice this more and more and more and more and more in class tomorrow. I know we've done some of it already today, and we'll do more tomorrow. So off you go. I'm going to give you one to practice while you are at home. Oopsie. I would like for you to do, let's see, 98 and 65 hundredths divided by 5. I'll give you a nice easy single digit. So make sure you go back to that same that list that we had back a few slides of what you should do in which order. Remember, you can alternate steps 1 and 2. So you could divide to the whole number, then later bring up the decimal, or you could bring the decimal up straight away. I prefer to do it straight away, that way I can't forget it in my answer. All right, I will see you tomorrow. Happy mathing to you.